Good morning. Well, let's continue where we left off last time. I introduced you to the life of Jesus, his birth, his early ministry, and basically 3.5 years of his earthly ministry on earth. While he was here, he had 12 disciples, and we have recorded in the Bible 4 Gospels that account for his life, giving various perspectives on his life and allowing us to actually see God. So, as I was saying, God reveals himself through Jesus Christ. And let me give you an illustration of that. Well, before the illustration, I wanted to just say that, there's a statement that Jesus said while he was here, and it's recorded in the Bible. And that statement is actually, it can be found in John, the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 6. It's quite famous. If you have been around Christian circles, you might have heard this before. And let me give you some context. Jesus was talking to his disciples, and they were asking him a question: how do we know the way? And by this, they're referencing to God. How do they know the way to God? Right? And this is what Jesus said. His reply was, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So Jesus calls God his Father, and here he's saying that the way to God is him. Jesus is the way to God. He is the way, the truth, and the life. And there's no other way to the Father, to God. There's no other way to God except through Jesus Christ, through himself, through Jesus. So that is a very bold statement, and now I'm going to give you an illustration because you have the context and you understand this is what Jesus said and this is what it actually means, because a lot of times we don't quite understand everything and we need illustrations and examples. So here we go. So this is a real illustration, a real example. A couple of people were in the forest, actually in the jungle, in another country. I think it was in Africa, so the jungles of Africa, and they were lost. So they asked a native, someone who actually lives in the jungles of Africa, is this the way? Because we need help, we are lost, so they asked a native to help them and to show them the way through the jungle, because it's very very hard to get through a jungle if you don't know the way. And here the native said he will show them the way, right? And as they walked with him through the jungle, it takes a while. It's very dense, and so as they're walking, they were wondering and doubting and a bit worried, maybe even stressed. And they asked the native, is this the way? Is this correct? And the native replied and says, no, I am the way. And what that means is that there's no other way through the jungle except the native in this case, right? He is the way. He's literally the way through the jungle. You have to follow him to get, from one point to another point to get out of that jungle. There's no other way. So in the same way, Jesus is the way to God. There's no other way except, Jesus. He is literally the way, the only way in this case. So I hope that has cleared and given you a better perspective and understanding of what that statement means when Jesus says, I'm the way. And obviously, he also said, I am the truth and I am the life. And we'll get to that maybe later on in future videos. But let's focus on Jesus being the way. So let's continue, and my point really is that God has to, God lit, God really had to send Jesus to us so that we can know who God is. It is great that we have nature and creation to see and to reveal God's majesty, His creation, His power, His creativity, and His His ability to create and to sustain, right? Um, but we need more. So He has also given us the Bible, the Word, the New Testament, the Old Testament. Has given us prophets in the past. Has given us all kinds of ways to get to know Him. But ultimately, we need Him to send His Son because there's no other way. First of all, we need that because people might read the Bible and misunderstand it, as we have seen even today. People do read the Bible and misunderstand it, and they read things into it which are not there, and they add things to it. Sometimes they take things out. So it is not perfect, just like a book. You don't really know the author. You can't really know the author unless you talk to him or someone who knows him. By reading a book, you read what he has said. You can understand and learn a lot about the author, but ultimately you need to be with someone, because the book is not personal ultimately, right? Just like letters, you can write a letter or you can write email. It is not as personal as someone talking to you, as someone you can hear and see and touch and feel and even smell. So there's lots of senses that we have, and we need more than just a book, or we need more than just creation and nature, and we need Jesus. So that's one reason why. The other reason why is we are sinners. God is perfect and holy, and He demands perfection and holiness and absolutely zero sin. So we who have sinned, we can never approach God except through Jesus, who is the sacrifice that makes a way so that we can come back to God, because we need to be ultimately adopted into His family, back into the kingdom, back into His world, right? We can't just like you can't go into a palace wearing and just see the king or the queen or any royalty or any president or prime minister or any official wearing just dirty, filthy clothes with holes. You need to dress up because it pays respect and homage to those people. And in the same way, we come to God not with just our sinfulness and guilt and stink and horrible smell, right? Because ultimately, think of it like this sin is a stench. Literally, it is so repulsive to God, who is perfect and holy, and He demands that we cannot enter His presence or enter into anywhere, even to communicate or talk to Him, except if we had a representative to come before Him and intercede on our behalf, and to basically bridge the gap, I guess. Okay, more about that later. So why why did God need to send Jesus? I believe that He could not ultimately perfectly show Himself to us except through His Son, through Jesus, who came to us as a human, right? He came as a baby, He grew up, and then he pointed people to God, and He said that you who have seen me have seen God. Also another bold statement. So God could not properly show us Himself or reveal Himself to us except through this other person, through the person of Jesus Christ, because we live in this world where humans exist, and he needed to send someone that can speak our language, just like like people, like countries send ambassadors to other countries to speak on their behalf, and these ambassadors, they speak and they represent their country. So in the same way, God has sent this ambassador, Jesus, to bring peace and to talk peace and to introduce peace between man and God. So he needs to speak our language, right? God and Jesus had to speak our language. He had to speak to us in human terms, in a human language. Just like when we talk to animals or pets, we cannot completely speak to them on their level because we speak in our language, human language, but they have their own language, right? If they have, if that, they have their own language. So in the same way, we cannot fully communicate perfectly to animals or even infants, for that matter, because they don't understand the whole width and depth and length and all the nuances of the language. They don't even understand the language. They understand parts, and they can understand your inflections, they can understand your tone, that kind of stuff, but ultimately they cannot understand you, and they cannot relate to you in the same way, intellectually. Maybe emotionally, yes, maybe no. Also, again, they're limited in that capacity as well, in their ability to comprehend and dissect and discern what you mean. So in the same way, my point is that Jesus had to come. God had to send Jesus because of that. So Jesus had to enter and come to earth to reveal God. So the other reason why is he wants to reconcile us to God. Like I said, the ambassador, he wants to become an ambassador to introduce us, to reconcile us to God, and to bring that reconciliation, to bring us back together again, because man and God, like we were once together, then we were separated by sin and death and pain and sorrow and all that, horrible stuff. So Jesus wants to bring us back together. God wants to bring us back together. He sent Jesus to do that, and so that we're no longer separated so that we're no longer separated from God because of sin. God had to send Jesus so that we can reconcile us and bring us back together again. And this is why we believe in the cross. And I'll talk more about the cross and why Jesus had to go to the cross in another video. But those people who are outside of Christianity, they don't really understand this mystery. They don't understand what is this about the cross, and why did Jesus, the Son of God, have to be crucified. So I'm going to introduce that now and talk about it in tomorrow's video. All right. See you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye for now.